Hey everybody, it's Troy Marsh, and this is the Columbus Closers podcast, where we sit down with successful business owners, usually in real estate, to talk about their biggest wins and also how they've overcome their largest defeats. My goal with each episode is to provide you with at least one tactic that you as the listener can use today to take your business to the next level. So wherever you are, make sure that you subscribe to get the latest episodes on your favorite podcast platform. Hey everybody, this is Troy Marsh and you're listening to Columbus Closers. I'm super excited to be sitting here with another top agent, Lori Lynn. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Lori, I would say, is well known for just crushing it in real estate. So I'm excited to have her. So I always like to start off with just a little bit about you. So tell me a little bit about what you do other than sell a heck of a lot of real estate.
Well, obviously, real estate is the biggest thing that I do, the most amount of time. But I enjoy spending time with my family. I have 5 children and my first grandbaby. So that's very exciting.
Awesome.
Yep. So that she is the absolute love of my life. 6 weeks old, little Macy. And so literally that's truly, I can't even express enough how exciting this is to be a grandmother.
That's awesome. So I feel like everybody is almost more excited about being a grandparent than they are being a parent.
Yes.
So what is it so far in 6 weeks that like makes you feel that way? Is it just the fact that you get to give them back or what?
It's hard to explain because people would say to me like, this is the greatest ever. And I'm like, okay, but once you hold that baby in your arms and you know that you hold the baby, you take care of her, but you're not worried about, are they drinking enough? Are they clean enough? Is, every tiny little thing, you don't have to worry about that because that's what the parents worry about. All you worry about is just holding that baby and spending as much time as you want.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it really is that amazing.
So before 6 weeks ago, what were you doing other than selling real estate?
So what I really enjoy doing is helping other people. That truly is my passion. I grew up on a farm in Wisconsin. So it's always been, we grew up helping other people. And one of the things that I really enjoy doing is buying things at auctions, buying things on sale, redistributing those to people that need the assistance. A lot of times when I have somebody that gets into a house and it might be their first house, they might not have a lot of furniture, a lot of different things. But if I can pick up things for, $25, $50 here and there, a dining room table set, that makes a big difference in their lives. So I would rather give somebody, like as a closing gift, I would rather give them something meaningful for the house than give them something that is a gift card that's going to be gone in a week.
Oh, that makes sense. So do you have a system around doing those things, or does it just happen throughout conversation, or what does that look like?
Generally throughout conversation, but like on my iPad, I have a list of things that I need for staging. So Troy, if I was going to list your house and I went out and realized that there were a couple things that you needed, then I would start looking for those on maybe some of the auction sites so that by the time we get ready to stage your house, I already have a few things. Lighting fixtures, I buy a lot of lighting fixtures. And also when it comes to the listing part, it lets the people know that you have skin in the game. Like you're really trying to help them. You're not just saying, get a new light fixture. So on the front end, it's important, but also on the back end, like right now in my car, I have 2 chairs that I bought and my clients need extra chairs. So I'll just drop them off and that's it. So a lot of times it's just listening to what they're talking about and noticing maybe in their houses that, they really could use a couple extra chairs. They now have 3 kids.
So what about your buyers that you're working with though? I mean, are you being purposeful about just listening or do you have a form that they fill out or what does that look like?
It really is the listening, and I make notes on my iPad. So with every client, I have a list of things. So for example, if there's a 6-year-old boy, he might really be into Star Wars. So I might find something that's Star Wars related. And I'll pick that up and then just drop it off to them and say, oh, I just happened to see this at Walmart. Thought, Eric would like this. So it's not really a specific list or a specific thought process. It's more just knowing the client and thinking about them. And what I try to do is even during the day when I have downtime, I'll scan through my phone and see if there's anybody that I haven't called in a while and just touch base with them. And then that will sometimes trigger, you know what? Wait a second. I just picked up 6 Star Wars cups. I'll drop a couple of those off for the boys.
Nice. So it sounds like probably sphere of influence and past clients are a huge part of your business.
It is, but another thing that I think is important to mention is I really try to support small businesses with my clients. So for instance, one of my clients, they sell Mary Kay. So I want to support her, but obviously I don't wear a lot of makeup. So what I did is I bought 15 bottles of nail polish. And then I put a little note on the nail polish and gave it to 15 of my clients that have little girls. So I will try to think about things like that in order to help other people. But then when I'm giving them business, I know that they're going to give me business back.
So was that something that you purposely did from the beginning of your career, or is it something that kind of happened organically as you started to become more successful and then just saw the opportunity to give back, which obviously is important to you, and then do it though in a way that some people like Gary Keller calls it strategic giving, right? I mean, you're going to give your clients something anyways. So why give Lowe's $50 for a gift card when you can go buy nail polish from your past client?
Right.
And it's not that you're only doing it for the past client, but it's kind of a win-win.
That's a great question. And really I've always done this, but I've never had the stronger that I am in business, the more successful I am, the more opportunities I have to help more people. So 10 years ago, I might have bought 5 nail polish because that's maybe all I could have afforded at that time. So I would say it's not that, it's just as things have gone on, I've been able to do more and more. The last 10 years, my dad and I have also done a lot with homeless and vets because both him and I are vets. So for instance, one year we bought 200 sleeping bags and then we distributed those to the homeless. So, but the next year I was able to buy 2,000 pairs of Polar Tech pants. So it's just, having that budget, watching for the deals, but being able to increase that budget as I'm more successful.
So speaking of success and increasing budgets, we never talked about what you do in real estate in terms of volume and sales. So what did last year look like approximately for you?
So last year we sold over 250 houses.
Wow.
So very successful year, about 55 million in sales. So we're expanding. We're doing more with our team. We're expanding to more areas throughout Ohio. This year, I'll be getting my real estate license in Florida. So I will help some people from the area here transition to from Dublin to Florida as they start to retire. So just more opportunities opening up.
Okay. So what does your team look like? I know you mentioned your team. So how much of that are you doing on your own versus how much of that is getting done by your team, and what's your team look like?
Okay. So myself, I generally sell about 110 houses a year. And over the years, it was always about 50-50. So 50 buyer, 50 listings. But as time goes on, it's definitely more listings than it is buyers just because of the time. So now I'm about 75% sellers, 25% buyers. Eventually, I want to be at 100% listings, and I'm trying to get there this year. So that will be my focus. My team, I also have 6 other full-time buyers agents, and I have 2 full-time admin people. And those 2 admin people primarily support me.
So your 6 buyers agents, do they only work with buyers, or do they do listings as well?
They can list.
Okay.
Percentage-wise, though, they're more about 85% buyer, 15% listing.
And then, so what will you do for those of the audience that doesn't have a team?
Okay.
What do you do then? You said your goal is to transition to 100% listings. So what are with those buyers that obviously are going to come from listings? Are you giving those back to your team members, or what's happening with them?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So originally when I started, of course, it was just me. Then my first hire was an admin. And then I found that I just couldn't keep up with the buyer side. So I hired my first buyer's agent. And every time I get to a level that, like when my team can't, has more business than we can support, then I have to make a decision to either hire another buyer's agent or refer buyers out. So fortunately, I've been able to recruit successful people on our team. So we do have, like for instance, if somebody's sick or somebody has a sick family member, we can cover them while they're off and help support them. And then as I would say about every 5 million more that we increase in business, we need to add an additional buyer's agent.
And how do you go about adding people to your team? I mean, is it just like somebody comes to you and says that they want to join your team? Or is it more once you hit that number, you're going out and actively searching?
So I don't really have a specific way that I do it. For instance, I just ran into somebody that is going to get their license, and I've worked with them on a deal. They're very good. I know they would be a great realtor. So I'm encouraging them to get their license in Dayton. And then I will expand my team to Dayton and have them work out of the Dayton office. So we're starting to do more of that expansion, not just with Columbus, but with other areas. Dayton will be a big one. Of course, being able to support in Florida is going to help too. But as far as, it's really hard to answer that question because there's not a set, sometimes I don't have many people that leave the team. Generally, if somebody leaves the team, it's because they are getting more business from their own sphere than I am providing from them. So most of the people on my team, the business is coming from me. I generally know when somebody's going to leave and can start to think about who I'm going to use to replace them. Right now, I feel like I need more admin support and more support for the team. My niece is going to be coming down from Wisconsin this summer. She's a senior at UW-Madison, and she's going to come down and she's going to work with us for 4 months and will intern. So the support that she can provide our team during that time period and help us get better systems in place, then that will alleviate us from having to add another buyer's agent. Now, if we don't get the proper systems in place while she's here, then yes, I'll have to add a buyer's agent sooner than later.
So basically it's leverage in one way or the other, whether it's a sales agent or administrative staff.
Yep.
And do you think, having administrative staff, that's the cool thing about college schedules, right? It kind of coincides with the busy season in real estate. Do you feel like you could use a full-time admin right now? Or do you feel like just having somebody during busy season is enough to help you make it through that?
I really believe we're about ready to add an additional full-time admin. The reason is because even though we're really busy during the busy season, we're also working on marketing and other things throughout the year. So some of the things that maybe we couldn't get to in the summer because we were busy, we push off until the fall.
Yeah.
And we're finding that, especially with technology, I mean, it's great that we can communicate so fast, but one of the problems is I can have people in my email, I can have people in my voicemail, but text messages. So when, like, for instance, right now when I'm here, if text messages come through, it's very hard to handle those text messages, and people expect to be texted back immediately. So if I'm with a client in a listing appointment, I'm obviously not going to be on my phone. And I do find that some of the younger realtors will be on their phone. So I'm not sure how that's going to balance out in the future. I don't know.
Yeah, you might have to make a change.
Yeah.
So what is your standard around response time? Because that's interesting conversation. Do you set the standard with your client that you're going to get back to them within a certain amount of time? And what does that look like?
So voicemails, I know that I'm getting back to them in a reasonable amount of time because I answer as many phone calls as I can. And then Nicole checks my voicemail at 9, noon, and about 4:30. So if something came in at 2:00 and I wasn't able to grab it, at least we know by 4:30 that phone call is being dealt with.
Okay.
A lot of times what people will do is they might leave a voicemail, send an email, and then we've already seen that email because Sarah and Nicole, my 2 admin, are in my email all day long. The issue is a text message. And I try to let people know up front. So when I have a meeting with somebody, I will say, while I'm in here, while I'm with clients, I don't answer my phone and I don't respond to messages. So once I'm out, I will respond to you. But if I don't respond to you in 4 or 5 hours, please text me back because sometimes that text message might get buried in other text messages.
Yeah. So still working on a system for that.
Yeah.
So when you kind of going back to the structure of your team and where your business comes from, so would you say your number one source is sphere of influence or
100%.
referrals? Okay,
yes.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, what would you say is the next largest source outside of sphere and referrals?
I'll tell you what, my personal business is all repeat and refer. It really is. We do spend some money on homes.com. We do send some money with Facebook advertising. So we do some things, but the more time that I spend on my sphere, the more referrals I will get from that. So one of the things that we do is I have my top 25. So we have a marketing calendar that we diligently follow. And every year you can see how it gets better and better. And the great thing is if I would have tried to do the marketing calendar that I have today 10 years ago, I would never be able to afford that because I wasn't doing the same business then. So every year as our business increases, then I'm able to add more and more onto our marketing calendar. So one of the things that we do is our top 25. So every 60 days, we are sending them something. Those are the people that give us the most referrals generally, or I'm very close to them. Maybe it's a new client that I know that has a good, strong sphere. And even though they might not have referred me, I feel like I could get referrals. We'll add them to that list. And we call it the top 25, but every year we add about 5 more people on.
Yeah. Are there really only 25?
No.
Yeah.
And what we'll do for
example. So how many are in that now?
So now we're at about 45.
Okay.
And so, for example, we'll send, we're getting ready to do an ice cream scoop. So it'll have a little tag on it that says, call me to find out the scoop about the real estate market. And we'll send that to them. And even though they might not be buying or selling, just having our name on that ice cream scoop and then pulling it out of the drawer. We did scrapers. We do lottery tickets. So it's nothing that's a huge amount of money. It's just that personal touch and them getting a little package in the mail.
So how many times a year are you touching the
6.
top? Okay.
6 times a year.
And are you sending them sending them anything else like mailings
Yes.
or emails,
Yes.
calls? What else are you doing on top of those 6 gifts?
So first, our calendar. Our calendar is the number one. So everybody is going to get a calendar. I've had people that have called me and said, I've looked at your picture for 10 years on my fridge. Come list my place. And I have no idea who they are. So I can count on deals every year from just that calendar. It also is the recognition from that calendar. It's super fun when like my daughter's friend will be at somebody's house and go, hey, Mama Lynn, look, you're on the refrigerator. So those kind of things, or like if somebody goes to somebody's house and is like, wait, that's my realtor. And then everybody gets a kick and it's like, Lori, guess where we are? So that is huge. That calendar is the most important thing.
So you would say that if you were going to do anything,
it would be the calendar first.
It would be the calendar
Absolutely.
first. So if you were talking to a brand new agent right now and you said if you could do just one thing to kickstart your business or rocket yourself to the next level, what would it be? Well,
it wouldn't be the calendar because the calendar takes time. Okay. So, if you spend, and again, the first year I started out with 200 and then 400 and 600 and 1,000. And now over 18 years, I'm at 10,000. So those didn't start out. If I would have started out with 10,000, I would have never been able to afford to pay for them. But that's the longevity of it. If somebody was starting their business right now, I would be doing as many networking and things as they can possibly do. And if it's Bunko Club with the girls, if it's at the soccer field with your kids, it's putting on a Keller Williams, recognizing I'm Keller Williams. This is what I do. This is what I do for a living. And very quickly, what will happen is you'll have a Keller Williams logo on your shirt and somebody will say, oh, I heard the market's really good. Well, you better know what you're talking about. So you can't just put it on and go, okay, now we're all good. The first thing that I did when I became a realtor is it was when Dominion Homes, they had this little office right over on France Road. And I walked in and I said, how do I sell a house? How do I sell your product? And they were like, what? And I said, well, you're a home builder. I know that if I represent a buyer, I can earn commission. So tell me about your product. And so every couple of weeks I would go over there and I would start to learn about their product. And one day the rep that was over there said, it was so funny because she said, oh, I never want you to work for us. And I'm like, what? Like, did I do something wrong? And she's like, no, she's like, I just never want to have to compete with you. But if you don't know it, and I would go to the lunches and I would go to the builder things and learn as much as I could. So every single week I was at some sort of training. And this was before I was at Keller Williams. So I knew if you don't know what you're selling, and you have to be proud about what you're selling. Amway, I don't even know if Amway is still around anymore, but I remember somebody wanted to sell me Amway and they kept beating around the bush about it. And finally I said, are you talking about Amway? And they're like, yeah, and I'm like, okay, hold on a second. If you're not proud about what you do, how can you sell it? If I sold Amway, I would be like, Troy, this is the best product. I'm telling you, this is why I know this is the best product. Let me give you a sample. I'm serious. You got to get this. This is what you should get for your clients. This is what, when you list a house, you should use this. I mean, if you don't believe in it, how can you sell it? And if you don't know it, how can you sell it?
So if you were a new agent, you would go buy a couple T-shirts that say either your name and something to do with real estate or even just your brokerage.
You could do it even cheaper. You can get a little lanyard and stick a little thing in there and put your business card in there. And when somebody talks about real estate, you pull the little card out and give it to them. I mean, it doesn't have that. Here's the thing, Troy. When I first started this business, we absolutely had no money. We did not. My father-in-law, God rest his soul, was so incredible. And he was the first man that ever made a plastic drinking straw. Well, in 2000, we were drowning. We could not compete with overseas. Our material cost, we were paying 50 cents a pound for plastic. Over the same company is selling it overseas at 2 cents a pound because of the volume. We could not compete with it. And we knew we were going down. And we had 130 employees. So we did everything we could to keep that business going as long as we could. And I knew that, fortunately, I'd had my college degree. I was an accountant. So I knew that I should be one of the first people to leave the business because I could still help the business, but I could get something going on the side. And I'd always been interested in real estate. And I said, you know what? If I can just sell 5 houses a year, I can keep gas in our car. I can at least keep us going, as my husband and his father were basically shutting down the plant. And so when I first started, it was, how can I do things inexpensively? And I would say, God, I mean, this all makes me tear up because I would say, just give me gas in my car, my cell phone, and I will make it happen. And we did. I mean, my kids, we had a wagon, we would print. That's how my sunflower logo came about, because I used yellow paper with black ink. And I was like, look, I can do this cheap. So my kids, we would drag that wagon around through the neighborhoods and put things on houses. And I was like, look, I will figure out how to make it in this business. So it wasn't about the money. We did not have the money to do it. And if I can do it on no money, people that have any money can do it. And if you don't have any money, I can teach you how to do it. You just have to be in it. You can't have one foot in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you either have to be all in.
You have to be all in.
And I think we see that often, right? Where people get their license and then they're trying to do 2 things, 3 things, 4 things at the beginning. And it's just, so what consistently did you do early on? It sounds like marketing was definitely one of those things. When you had no money, what was the one thing that you did consistently that you feel like contributed to your success?
Answered the phone.
Do you still think that works today?
Absolutely. Answer the phone, be on. When people call, you better be on. You better be focused, talking to them, answering their questions, not doing 3 other things at the same time. So answering the phone, being available, knowing your product, understanding, all of that is free. All of that. But when it was interesting how very quickly people started to recognize that I must be an expert, even though I hadn't done it that long, because I could outwork them. I knew I remember one realtor, this was one of the very first deals I did. I had a client that was buying a lot, and the lot had some issues. It had some different things. And finally, the woman that was selling it was a realtor. And she's like, why are you working so hard? And I'm like, what do you mean? Why am I working so hard? Isn't this what you're supposed to do? She's like, you're working way too hard for this person. And I'm like, I don't know what that means, but I'm going to get this deal done. And I got the deal done. So I knew that if somebody started working with me, that they wouldn't leave me because they could see that I would outwork anybody.
So if you could go back to yourself back then, which it sounds like you did a ton of things right, and that's what's led you to your success. If you could go back to that brand new agent, what year was that?
2002. Halloween.
Yep. Halloween 2002, and tell that Lori Lynn a piece of advice. If you got one piece of advice to give that Lori Lynn, what would you tell her?
It is that simple.
Nice.
It really is. You get up, you work hard, you do the right thing, and it will come back to you. I always do the right thing. Always. I mean, if you have to do the right thing. And there's been times with the short sales, remember all the years, my God, I would kill myself and then there wouldn't be any money to pay me. But the people never forgot that I got them through those short sales.
Yeah. And then they called you.
And then they called me. And they referred me their friends and their family.
Awesome. Well, Lori, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. It's really been awesome to have you on the podcast and share your experiences. Sure. I guarantee people listening to this are going to get some nuggets that they can put into use right away, because most of them don't cost very much.
It's not about the money.
Yeah.
It's about doing it. It's about, I'll tell you what, I don't know if you've ever read the book. What is it? It's about the West Point, how they studied West Point and they couldn't figure out, dang it, what is the name of that book?
Is it Grit?
Grit.
Yeah.
Grit. That is it.
By Angela Duckworth, right?
That's exactly it. I'll tell you what, that alone, reading it, I mean, I would read that book. There's 3 or 4 books I would read, but it is that simple. And if you outwork, believe me, there's a lot of people that are a lot smarter than me, but there isn't many people that are going to work as hard as me to make it happen. So
I believe that. Thanks, Lori.
You're very welcome.
Thanks so much.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for checking out the latest episode of the Columbus Closers podcast. We really appreciate you sharing your biggest takeaway from this episode by tagging Columbus Closers either on Instagram or Facebook. And if you're interested in being a guest on a future episode, email us at info@columbusclosers.com. And if you would do me one favor, subscribe to this content wherever you're listening so you can keep up with the latest tactics and real estate trends so that you can take your business to the next level.